8 shocking archaeological discoveries that changed everything we know about human history. There are archaeological discoveries that astonish the entire world the moment they are brought up from beneath the earth. There are skeletons, tombs, ancient structures, and even tiny artifacts that may seem insignificant at first glance, yet they have kept scientists studying them for years without reaching a definitive explanation. There are excavations where the deeper archaeologists dig, the more gaps in history they uncover, along with new mysteries and questions that modern science still cannot answer. So, is what we know about humanity's past truly complete? Or is it only a tiny fragment of a much larger historical picture that has remained hidden by time for thousands or even millions of years? These are some of the most challenging questions that continue to puzzle archaeologists to this day. Hello and welcome back to Ancient History, where we explore the most fascinating secrets of the ancient world through remarkable archaeological discoveries. In today's journey, we'll uncover the 8 most shocking archaeological discoveries in the world. Finds that not only stunned the scientific community, but also forced many researchers to reconsider what we have long believed about the history of human civilization. From a family of snails perfectly preserved in amber for 99 million years, to massive stone structures that no one has yet been able to explain exactly how they were built, to ancient tombs filled with mysterious artifacts that reveal customs once thought to exist only in legend, each discovery is like a priceless piece of a giant puzzle. Every one of them brings us a little closer to understanding the past while simultaneously opening the door to countless new mysteries. It's entirely possible that one of the discoveries you're about to see will change the way you think about the history of human civilization. So, join me as we travel back through time and uncover the extraordinary secrets that continue to challenge archaeologists around the world. The mysterious body in the blood coffin of Inner Mongolia, China, that made archaeologists scream and order an emergency evacuation. Do you think that just one wrong moment could turn an archaeological site into a deadly danger zone? You probably wouldn't believe that, right? Most people assume archaeology is only about the past, something safe, something already buried in history. But if you really think that, then unfortunately, you are mistaken. Why do I say that? Because a story that took place in 2003 at a mining area in Inner Mongolia, China, proved exactly the opposite. There, a dark red coffin was unexpectedly discovered, and no one could have imagined that behind it lay a mystery serious enough to make the entire archaeological team shout a warning: "Danger! Retreat immediately!" Everything began when local workers, during mining operations, accidentally struck several stone slabs engraved with strange symbols. Sensing that this was not ordinary material, they immediately reported it to the authorities. Not long after, an archaeological team was sent to the mining site in Inner Mongolia, China. At first, no one thought this place was connected to any major historical dynasty, but after careful examination, experts began to recognize the structure of the tomb as clearly belonging to the Liao dynasty, a regime founded by the Khitan people that once had a major influence in Chinese history. Then, as they dug deeper underground, a scene that left everyone frozen in shock appeared. In the cold darkness of the burial chamber stood a dark red coffin. That red color was unlike anything natural. It was so deep and intense that under excavation lights it looked like blood. Because of this, researchers gave it a chilling name: the blood coffin. The coffin was decorated with golden phoenix patterns, both majestic and mysterious, in a way that was difficult to explain. But what truly drew attention was not only the coffin itself, but the body inside. It was a female corpse, carefully covered across the face. From the burial style, decorative patterns, and tomb layout, archaeologists believed she was very likely a woman of high noble status within the Liao royal family. However, the real mystery only began when deeper examinations were conducted. During the initial analysis phase, the team used X-ray scanning on the body. On the screen, multiple black spots of different sizes suddenly appeared, with no clear pattern. This immediately created a tense atmosphere. Then came the decisive moment. One team member carefully lifted the cloth covering the woman's face. Instantly, an unknown liquid suddenly began to flow out from inside the coffin. For a few seconds, no one reacted, but a sense of danger quickly spread across the site. One expert suspected it could be mercury, a highly toxic substance that can be extremely dangerous if inhaled or exposed under unsafe conditions. Immediately, an emergency order was issued. "Danger! Evacuate immediately!" the entire archaeological team quickly withdrew from the coffin area, leaving the site to specialized hazardous materials personnel following strict safety procedures. Fortunately, thanks to the fast response, no one was injured. But the presence of mercury raised a series of major questions. Where did it come from, and why was it inside the coffin? At first, there was a theory that the woman might have ingested mercury to end her own life. However, later analyses quickly rejected this idea. When the mercury was accounted for, the black spots on the X-ray images also disappeared, showing that they were not physical objects in the body, but rather imaging artifacts related to the mercury. More importantly, tests showed that the mercury concentration in her hair was twice as high as in the abdominal area, something completely inconsistent with a suicide hypothesis. If she had truly ingested it, the highest concentration should have been in the stomach area. From this, experts proposed a new interpretation. Mercury may have been used as a preservation method to slow down decomposition. In many ancient burial practices, especially among the nobility, mercury was indeed used for similar purposes. So who exactly was the woman in the blood coffin? Based on historical comparisons, many researchers believe she may have been the younger sister of Yelu Abaoji, the founding emperor of the Liao dynasty. According to historical records, after the emperor's death, the burial process was delayed, and mercury may have been used to preserve the body during that time. If this theory is correct, then the tomb in Inner Mongolia is not only the resting place of a noble woman, but also a reflection of a hidden political tragedy behind imperial power. This woman is believed to have had a husband who was executed for treason, and she herself was also implicated, leading to an unfortunate and unresolved fate. However, it is important to note that all of this remains only a hypothesis proposed by researchers. To this day, no conclusive evidence has been found, and because of that, this mystery remains unsolved even now. 3 of the world's most mysterious ancient structures that have challenged modern science for centuries. We can build spacecraft, send robots to Mars, and scan almost the entire surface of Earth with satellites. Yet strangely enough, right here on the planet we call home, there are still ancient structures that modern science cannot fully explain. From the enormous stone circles of Senegambia in Senegal and Gambia, to the mysterious stone city of Great Zimbabwe in southern Africa, and the rock-hewn churches carved deep into mountains in Lalibela, Ethiopia, each site challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient history. Even after decades of research, archaeologists have still been unable to completely reconstruct the story of the civilizations that created these extraordinary masterpieces. So, who actually built them? How were they able to accomplish such incredible feats without modern machinery? And perhaps most importantly, why were these structures created in the first place? Join me as we follow the traces left behind by the past and explore 3 of the greatest mysteries in world archaeology. The first stop on our journey is the Senegambian Stone Circles, an archaeological complex stretching across Senegal and Gambia in West Africa. According to archaeologists, these structures were built between around 300 BC and AD 1600, covering an area of nearly 11,600 square miles. The sheer scale of this archaeological site is enough to amaze anyone. The entire area contains approximately 29,000 stone blocks, more than 17,000 monuments, and around 2,000 individual structures, including burial sites, ancient pottery fragments, and massive stone circles arranged in carefully organized groups. Each stone pillar stands about 6.5 feet tall on average and weighs up to 7 tons, yet they were all placed upright with astonishing precision. To this day, what puzzles scientists the most is not determining the age of the site, but understanding how ancient people created it. Extracting, transporting, and standing tens of thousands of multi-ton stones upright without modern machinery would have required a massive workforce, along with people who possessed deep knowledge of geology and construction techniques. For this reason, many experts believe that this region was once the center of a highly developed and prosperous society. However, the exact identity of the people who built this enormous stone complex, as well as the true purpose of these stone circles, remains an unsolved mystery. Leaving West Africa behind, our journey now takes us to the Republic of Zimbabwe in southern Africa, home to one of the world's most famous stone structures, Great Zimbabwe. Many people mistakenly believe that Zimbabwe was the name of an ancient kingdom. However, the name actually comes from an anglicized version of a local word meaning stone houses. According to archaeologists, Great Zimbabwe was built approximately 900 years ago and is famous for its dry stone construction technique, where massive stone blocks were carefully stacked together without the use of mortar. The entire complex covers an area of about 1,800 acres, with enormous curved stone walls that have survived remarkably well to this day. Experts estimate that construction continued for more than 300 years, and the city was once home to around 18,000 people. Although much of the site has been worn down by time, many of its towering walls still stand as powerful evidence of the extraordinary building skills of ancient Africans. Because of its exceptional historical value, Great Zimbabwe was recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. However, what continues to spark debate among archaeologists is the true purpose of this remarkable structure. Was it the capital of a powerful kingdom, a major religious center, or simply a residence for the ruling elite? To this day, no theory has provided enough evidence to completely answer these questions. And if the first two sites impress us with their scale and construction techniques, the final destination leaves the world amazed because of the extraordinary way it was created. This is the Lalibela rock-hewn church complex, located in the city of Lalibela, Ethiopia, a country in East Africa and one of the most sacred centers of Christianity on the continent. In the 12th century, after the holy city of Jerusalem fell under Muslim control, Christian pilgrimages became extremely difficult. Facing this situation, the king of Lalibela decided to create a new Jerusalem in his own homeland. According to historical records, the complex of 11 monolithic rock churches was carved continuously over a period of 24 years. What makes these churches truly extraordinary is that they were not assembled from separate blocks of stone. Instead, they were carved directly out of massive volcanic basalt rock using a top-down excavation method. Through the incredible skill of ancient craftsmen, enormous blocks of stone were gradually transformed into complete churches featuring entrances, windows, pillars, and intricate architectural details. The entire complex is also connected by a network of trenches and pathways carved through the rock, creating a unified architectural masterpiece that continues to amaze even modern engineers. Beyond being a remarkable achievement in construction, the Lalibela churches preserve immense historical and religious significance for Ethiopia. For centuries, they have remained an important pilgrimage destination for Christian believers. However, just like the Senegambian stone circles and Great Zimbabwe, many questions about the construction methods, workforce, and technical abilities of the builders remain unanswered. These three structures are located in different regions of Africa and were created during completely different periods of history, yet they all share one remarkable thing. They are powerful evidence of the extraordinary intelligence and creativity of ancient humans, while also reminding us that history still holds countless secrets waiting to be discovered. Perhaps somewhere among those massive stones that have stood for hundreds or even thousands of years, there are still answers hidden away, answers that modern science continues its endless search to uncover. The 7,700-year-old remains of a mother and her twin babies that deeply move the archaeological world. You know, in the world of archaeology, some discoveries do not leave people speechless because of gold or treasure, but because of the haunting human stories buried beneath the earth for thousands of years. And once again, in the frozen lands of Siberia, Russia, scientists uncovered one such extraordinary ancient grave, a burial site preserving the tragic story of a young mother and her twin babies from approximately 7,700 years ago. The grave was first excavated in 1997 at an ancient cemetery located in the city of Irkutsk, near the southern tip of Lake Baikal, Russia's famous lake. This region was once home to ancient hunter-gatherer communities more than 7,000 years ago. At first, the discovery did not attract much attention among the hundreds of skeletons uncovered throughout the cemetery. But years later, when more advanced research technology became available, experts realized they were standing before one of the most emotional and rare discoveries in archaeological history. Specifically, in 2012, during a new research project, archaeologist Angela Levers from University of Saskatchewan and her colleagues carefully re-examined the skeletal remains that had been discovered years earlier. Initially, researchers believed the grave contained the remains of a woman between 20 and 25 years old along with one infant. But then, a small unusual detail found on several bone fragments changed everything completely. After a careful examination, the research team realized the grave did not contain one baby, but two twin fetuses. Angela Levers later recalled that the moment she realized this, she was almost speechless. For several moments, she kept repeating to her colleagues, "My God, they're twins!" What made this discovery so extraordinary was the position of the fetal skeletons. The bones of the two babies were located around the mother's pelvic area and between her thighs. Based on their analysis, experts concluded that the twins were still in the process of being delivered when tragedy struck. One of the babies was in a breech position, an extremely dangerous childbirth complication in obstetric medicine where the baby is positioned feet first instead of head first. The infant became trapped inside the mother along with the other twin, turning the delivery into a catastrophic and nearly impossible birth. And nearly 8,000 years ago, when humans had no modern medical knowledge whatsoever, such complications were almost certainly a death sentence for both the mother and her children. Scientists believe the young woman died during labor while giving birth to the twins, and neither baby survived. Hearing the story today is heartbreaking. More than 7,700 years ago, in the harsh frozen wilderness of Siberia, a young mother spent the final moments of her life in unimaginable pain while trying to bring her two children into the world. According to Live Science, this may be the oldest confirmed evidence of a twin birth ever discovered in human history. It is also considered one of the earliest known examples showing that childbirth complications claim the lives of both mothers and infants even in prehistoric times. In archaeology, deaths during childbirth are extremely rare to identify because fetal bones are usually too fragile to survive intact over thousands of years. That is exactly what makes the discovery in Irkutsk so remarkable. What is even more fascinating is that archaeologists have so far uncovered around 101 different skeletons throughout this ancient cemetery. All of them belong to people who lived in hunter-gatherer communities around Lake Baikal more than 7,000 years ago. Through these remains, scientists are gradually gaining a clearer understanding of the difficult lives prehistoric humans endured. They faced freezing climates, hunted for survival, and had virtually no medical support of any kind. Even childbirth, something considered routine today, could become the fragile line between life and death. The Roman Empire's death well and the seven skeletons thrown to the bottom for 1,700 years. In the city of Osijek in eastern Croatia, there was an ancient well that had remained buried and forgotten for nearly 2 millennia. From the outside, it looked no different from any ordinary ruin left behind from the days of ancient Rome. But no one could have imagined that beneath the darkness at the bottom of that well lay a bloody and violent secret of the Roman Empire. This story came to light in 2011 when archaeologists began excavating the area before the construction of a new university in Osijek. During the dig, they unexpectedly uncovered an ancient well hidden deep underground. In Roman times, this area was known as Mursa, an extremely important military settlement located near the empire's frontier. At first, experts believed it was simply another ancient water structure like many Roman wells previously discovered across Europe. But as they dug deeper toward the bottom, the atmosphere at the site grew increasingly tense. Then came the horrifying discovery. Beneath the cold layers of mud and soil were human skeletons piled on top of one another in the darkness. In total, 7 adult male skeletons were discovered at the bottom of the well. What made the scene especially disturbing was that the bodies had not been buried according to any traditional ritual. Instead, they had been thrown in carelessly in chaotic positions. Some skeletons were lying on their sides, while others were face down with their heads pointed directly toward the bottom of the well, as if they had been violently tossed in without mercy. For nearly 1,700 years, the well had remained a hidden mass grave unknown to the world. According to Mario Novak, a bioarchaeologist at the Institute for Anthropological Research in Zagreb, Croatia, and the lead author of the study, all of the men appeared to have been stripped of every valuable possession before being thrown into the well. There were no weapons, no armor, no jewelry, and nothing that could help identify them. This strongly suggested that the site was far more than a normal burial. After detailed analysis, researchers confirmed that all 7 skeletons belonged to adult men. 4 of them were relatively young, while the other 3 were middle-aged. But what truly sent chills through the experts was the evidence of injuries found on their bodies. Some of the skeletons showed signs of severe blunt force trauma to the head. Several individuals had broken ribs, while others still bore marks consistent with wounds caused by sharp weapons. In other words, these men had most likely endured a brutal battle before their deaths. Not only that, but scientists also discovered evidence suggesting that several of them had suffered from respiratory infections shortly before they died. This reflects the extremely harsh living conditions faced by Roman soldiers during the wars and chaos of the 3rd century. To determine the exact time period, experts used carbon dating on 4 of the skeletons. The results showed that the men lived during the second half of the 3rd century AD. What makes this especially remarkable is that the dating perfectly matches the only artifact discovered at the bottom of the well, a Roman coin minted in 251 AD. Based on the archaeological evidence and the geographic location of the town of Mursa, researchers eventually reached a chilling conclusion. The 7 skeletons were most likely Roman soldiers who had fought in the Battle of Mursa in 260 AD. This was a bloody civil war between Emperor Gallienus and the Roman general Ingenuus, who had rebelled in an attempt to seize the throne of the Roman Empire but ultimately failed. According to ancient historical records, after his victory, Emperor Gallienus brutally punished those who had supported Ingenuus. He reportedly showed almost no mercy to the defeated. That is why researchers believe the 7 skeletons at the bottom of the well may have belonged to soldiers loyal to Ingenuus. After losing the battle, they were stripped of their possessions, killed or left to die, and then thrown into the well as a cold and calculated way to dispose of their bodies. Today, that ancient well is no longer just an underground structure. It has become a silent piece of evidence from one of the most chaotic and blood-soaked periods of the Roman Empire, a time when defeated soldiers could be erased from history in the cruelest possible way, left forever at the bottom of a dark well for nearly 17 centuries. Just thinking about it is enough to send chills down your spine, isn't it? Down your spine.